I keep meaning to get a parts washer, but I haven't got one yet, and I use this little pump for sucking oil out of the engines from the dipstick. My little car, my little smart car that I use, doesn't have a sump drain plug. You have to suck oil out through the dipstick, as you have to do with a lot of modern cars. So I've used it also for a parts washer, which is quite useful. So to clean that bearing, I'm going to do it one-handed here. All you do is switch it on, and it's just recirculating what's going into the tray underneath, and then you can just wash the bearing out by turning it, and that washes all the grit out. So, and then you just use gearbox oil once you're finished. So there you go, nice and simple, isn't it? It's quite cool. I just got to figure out how to turn it off with one hand. So the latest thing that I've decided to do is, because of the weather in this country is so bad, I'm always bitching about it, aren't I? But basically, you know, you can't keep an immaculate car here unless you don't use it. And I was trying to, obviously, I don't know if you can see here, this mottling in the aluminium. Now, I could have this actually shot blasted, and that would be fine. It would be a real pain because I'd have to take the whole thing apart to do that, because shot blast gets in everywhere. So in an ideal world, I would shot blast it, and then how do you stop salt, etc., all the corrosion getting into the aluminium again and making it bad? Well, I have come to the conclusion you would lacquer it with clear lacquer, and that would preserve the natural look of the aluminium, but you'd see the aluminium through it. The compromise is doing what I'm doing, which is I've tried coating this with very, very thin mix of cellulose washed down paint to give it just a slight, you know, just to bring the kind of aluminium look to it. But it's too thin and it doesn't seal the aluminium properly. So what I've come to the conclusion is to try and find a paint that sort of matches it, and I think by the time I get road grime and everything like that on it, this will look fairly natural, and I don't think anyone will realise I've actually painted it. I don't like sort of painting engines. I think it can look a bit, well, it doesn't look original for a start, and it can look a bit naff, I think. But I painted one of my other cars underneath as a test, and I've been running around with it, and it seems to be fine. It looks pretty good. Once you get a bit of road film on it and stuff, it looks completely natural. You'd never know. So I decided to do this case. I'm doing it with a hammerite paint. It's not heat resistant, but then the paint that I used on the engine block of my other car is this paint, so it's not a heat resistant paint. And the reason for that is I found that all the heat resistant paints don't have this kind of lacquer to them, and they don't seal properly. So I wanted a paint that you could literally, when it got grime on there, you could almost wipe it off with a sponge, because the porosity of the aluminium isn't absorbing all the debris and stuff like that. The paint sort of seals it, just like when you wash a car, doesn't it? All the dirt just falls off of it. So the idea is so that the dirt can just fall off of it, so from time to time I can sponge my engine down and it will look you know, pretty nice. You know, maybe give it a little bit of a jet wash, obviously avoiding the electrics. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm stippling it, I'm not brushing it, because the natural look of the aluminium is this stippled kind of look, because it's sand cast, I believe. So I may be wrong there, but it's got that granular sort of look to the aluminium. Now when I started, you could see this aluminium here, and now you can see the look of it. Does it look painted? You might think it does. I'm sitting here looking at it, and to be honest, it doesn't look too bad. I think it looks pretty damn good. By the time it's on the car, you really don't notice it. For instance, now you can see I've painted the whole thing. Now it's all painted, it all looks pretty good. So there you go. But actually, I'm lying to you, because it isn't all painted. That, you see, that panel I've left deliberately is raw aluminium. So there's raw aluminium, and then there's the paint. So as I turn it, yeah, obviously the paint's wet, but you can see, so that's been painted, and that's the raw aluminium. So it's not too bad really, and like I say, by the time a bit of road grime is on there, no one will ever know. Also, I'm not painting it really, really thick. I'm trying to keep it as thin as possible, and the reason for that is if at a later stage it starts to chip or flake off, what colour is it going to flake through to? Well, aluminium, isn't it? So you probably wouldn't notice it coming off. So I think that's probably the best compromise. I expect other people have got better ideas or other ideas, but remember, I don't want to take it apart, so I don't want to sort of have to obviously the best in an ideal world, powder coating would be the best solution. Powder coating with a clear lacquer. So I suppose the perfect solution would be if you were doing a total rebuild and taking all the parts out, would be to shot blast it and then powder coat it, and then obviously make sure all the gasket faces are clean. Maybe that would be the ultimate solution, and then you'd have a fully washable engine, you know, component that looks pretty good. So there you go, I finished it. Like I say, this stippling effect is similar to what I do to the leather seats actually, because if you look, the leather has a grain to it as well, so you even do a similar sort of effect with the leather. You can see it gives it that kind of matte finish, although it's a gloss paint, if that makes sense. So there you go. It doesn't look too bad, does it? It looks quite reasonable. I'll turn it round. Well, I'll try and turn it round. I have painted the inside as well, so I don't want to mess it up. But there you go. Just have a check on the inside. There's the inside. So there you go. There's the inside. Obviously, the gasket faces are actual aluminium. Yeah, so hopefully that's ready to go on the car a bit later. I'm going to put it somewhere warm and let it cure off. And there it is. I thought I'd show it to you now. It's actually dried off and it's lost that sort of shiny quality. It looks far more like aluminium now. You can see it hasn't got any kind of shiny reflections on it. I thought I'd put it in a room that's got a little bit of better lighting really, but there you go. So it looks quite sort of aluminium-y, doesn't it? It looks pretty damn good. I'm quite pleased with it actually. And for those, there's the clutch from Super Performance, so sitting on the flywheel. So I've nearly cleaned up all my bits. I'm ready to go. Okay, thanks for watching.